Hi everyone, welcome back to Crochet Rocks. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make my cute rainbow infinity scarf cowl, whichever you want to make. I'm using a selection of pastel rainbow colours, but you can use any colour scheme that you want. This is a 2-row repeat. It's dead simple and I will show you. It's suitable for beginners, and I'll do this tutorial aimed at if a beginner wants to tackle it. I'm just using some scrap yarns because each ball that I have is just a 50-gram ball. This is just a very pale blue that I didn't use this one, but all of these other colours that I've used, as you can see, I've not really used a great deal. I could probably make another one with the amount of yarn that I've used in each ball. So it's all 3 weight, a DK weight, and I've used a 4.5mm crochet hook. Now for the foundation chain, so that it's nice and loose, if you're particularly tight with your crochet, I'd recommend using a 5 or a 5.5 just to get that nice and loose. I'm quite okay at judging loose chain, but you know, it's not always easy. You'll also need some darning needles because obviously changing yarns every couple of rows you will get some ends to sew in. I managed to work some in as I go, but you can't really do all of them, so you'll also need a pair of scissors. Now for this one I've got 7 different colours, but if you wanted to make it just that little bit wider you could choose 8 colours, 9 colours, however many you want. Now I've made this this particular length. I'll go into that shortly, but if you wanted it shorter or longer, this is just multiples of 2. So if you wanted a more snug cowl, then you could do that. You can make this as a long scarf and put tassels or whatever at the ends. That's perfectly fine, but I've chosen to make it as an infinity scarf because I quite like looping it round, not having ends to tuck into my coats and things like that. But it's just whatever your personal preference is. So I'm going to pause the video for 1 second while I get everything together and ready to start the tutorial. And in the meantime, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and you'll be informed when there are new videos. So I'll just clear some stuff out the way and get ready to start, and I'll come straight back to you. Okay, so mine measures 93 centimetres or 36 inches, roughly 36 inches. So that's kind of my benchmark for what I like to have for mine, but I guess we're all kind of a little bit different, so you can either adjust it by putting in more or less sets of two stitches. So as I say, it's a repeat of 2. So I'm going to make a start then with this colour because that's the colour I make the very first foundation row with, and I'm going to just show you how I would normally do it by judging it, but I'm going to use a 5.5mm crochet hook just to do the foundation chain for it. I'm just pulling out some yarn, so that's what I'm doing off camera. Now for this I'm just going to make a simple slip knot. Just adjust my camera because it moved a little bit while I was measuring. So I'm just going to make a simple slip knot. I'm going to leave a nice long tail because the way I do this is not to make a ring at first. I like to do my first row, then make my ring so that it's an infinity scarf. And then I'll just join that first row together. It's so much easier than trying to stop it from twisting. So don't really like the light and shade in this room, but I've got not much choice unfortunately with where the light is. So I'm just going to make a circle, just a loop, and put the yarn through and pull, and that makes the slip knot nice and easy. I'll show you one more time. This is how I was taught, so don't do it like this anymore, but I make a loop and just put the yarn through that loop and pull, and then I've got a nice long a nice long tail as well. So I'm going to put my hook in, and this is a 5.5, just so that I get a nice loose chain. And to do a chain, it's ever so simple. You just yarn over and pull it through the loop that's on your hook. So we do it again, we yarn over and pull it through the loop on your hook, and that's making a chain. Nice and simple, just yarn over and pull through. So because we're using a 5.5, we're getting a nice loose chain, and I'm going to do a total of 200 chains for my infinity scarf. So that's going to be quite boring for you to sit and listen to me count 200 of these. So I'm going to pause the video and I'll come back to you when I have 200. So one more time, it's just yarn over and pull through. And just don't lose count. I know it's a lot, but I'll see you once I've done the 200. Okay, so I've done all my chain, and now I'm going to take this hook out and put in my 4.5. So now I'm going to be using this hook, and I've got my chain nice and loose. So the first row, it is a row at the moment, it will become a round, is I've done this on my other tutorial a little while ago. The first row is going to be a modern V-stitch. So in the 4th chain from the hook, this loop doesn't count. We count them, there's 1, 2, 3 and 4. We are going to do a UK treble or a US double crochet, and we yarn over, and then we're just going to go into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. So there are 3 on our hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So we're going to do one more in the same stitch. So yarn over, back into that chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have this little funny loop thing at the end, which is just the chain, and we've got a modern V-stitch in this one here. So now what we're going to do is skip one stitch and go into the next chain. You can see them just there. There's our next one. So we're going to go into this one here, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're going to yarn over, go into the stitch, yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Just got to pull up some more yarn. Bear with me a second. And we're going to do another stitch in exactly the same place again, and exactly the same. So now we've got 2 completed, and this is the modern V-stitch. So we've got our end and our 2 V's, and we're going to do that all the way along. Skip one and go into the next one, yarn over into the stitch, yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, and do another one in the same stitch just as before, and again skip one into the next one and do 2 stitches. We're going to do that all the way along right to the end until we've just got our last one left. And so I'm going to just do one more with you, yarn over, skip one in the next one, and we'll complete our stitch. Another one, yarn over into the same stitch, pull up the loop, through 2, through 2. So that's our repeat. Skip one, do our V, skip one, do our V. So I'm going to pause the video then, and I'm going to do that all the way along, and I'll come back to you once I get to the last couple of stitches. Okay, so I've got to the end. I've got a couple of stitches left, just 2 chain. So there's my skipped one, and this is one that we would next work in, but instead of doing 2 stitches in there, we're just going to do 1, and that will then be the end of our row. So now, move the yarn out of the way a little bit. what we do now is we will go all the way, keeping it straight to the end, and we're going to bring that round so that it's meeting up with this one. So it's one big circle without a twist. And if you're, I'm going to take my hook out. I'm just going to make sure this yarn end will be in the way. I know it will. So here is our sorry, look, here we go. I'm trying to get out, not get out of camera shot. So there's our front. Just trace it all the way along, not letting it twist. And there's our end. So now let's just move that, pull that down slightly, not letting it twist, and put my hook back in, and I'm going to join it. So I'm going to join it to, if you look, you've got 2 chain, and then you've got your first 2 stitches. That's one, that's the second one. So these are our chain. I'm just going to join it by putting my hook in, dropping the tail, and doing a slip stitch into that one there. So now we have formed a ring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip stitch into the center of my first V. Just do a slip stitch. Now I'm going to pull that slightly. Now what you've got here is this 2 chain that you started with and our last stitch. That is going to form a V. So we need to join those 2 together again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it from the bottom. Now normally I use my hook, which might be a little bit difficult for you guys to see. So I'm going to use a darning needle this time. I tried it on my other cowl and I think it does look a little difficult to see what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it so that this is the back, and I'm just going to join this stitch with the bottom of my chain, the bottom chain. There's the top one and there's the bottom one. So I'm just going to like hook them together and join it, and now that will become a V, because there'll just be 2 stitches together. I'm going to go in there and form a knot. Now they're together, and I can sew this in at a later date once I've finished. So there we are. Now those 2 stitches are a V. They don't look very V-like at the moment, but they will do. They will do. So I'm just getting confused with my hook, my working yarn, which is now, there we are. Okay, so what do we do now? We've slip stitched into the center of our first V. We're going to do 1 chain, and now we're going to do treble 4 together. And if that's a UK term, so a US term is to double 4 together. And how we're going to do that is we're going to yarn over, go into the center of the V, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 on our hook, just the same as before. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Hopefully it means that I won't go off camera. I'll start that again. We yarn over, we go into the center of the V, yarn over and pull up a loop. So we have 3 on our hook. We yarn over and pull through 2, leaving 2 on our hook. So we yarn over, go back into that V, yarn over and pull up a loop. Now we have 4. Yarn over and pull through 2, leaving 3 on the hook. So we yarn over, go back in, yarn over and pull up a loop, and just as before we go through 2, leaving 4. Now we need 1 more because we've done that 3 times. I'm going to yarn over, go in, yarn over, pull up, yarn over, pull through 2 only. Now you've got 5 on your hook, so you're going to yarn over and pull through all 5. Do 1 chain and then another chain, and that has joined all those stitches together. So we're going to go straight to the next V and do that all over again. So we're going to yarn over into the V, yarn over and pull up a loop. I'm going to just pull myself some yarn out. So I've got 3 on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, back into that same V, yarn over and pull up a loop, sorry, and I'm still zoomed. Yarn over, pull through 2. I will show you again, don't worry. Yarn over, back in, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. One more time, yarn over, back in, yarn over, pull over the loop, pull through 2. We have the 5 on our hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 and 2 chain. So I will do it one more time and I'll try my best because I'm very zoomed not to go off the camera. So yarn over into the next V, yarn over and pull up the loop, yarn over through 2, yarn over, back in, pull up the loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, back in and pull up that loop, yarn over, pull through 2. One more time and go through the 2. Now go through all of them and 2 chain. I'm going to zoom out now. So I'll just take that out and this is what it now looks like. Let's move everything else out of the way. So that first one, don't worry, it will look exactly the same as the others when you join one from this V. So that we're going to repeat that all the way along. We're going to go in every single V and we're going to do the same cluster, the same treble 3 together or double 3 together if you're US terms. So yarn over into the next one, yarn over, pull it up and go through 2. Do it again. This is the 3rd time and this is the 4th time. That was a little bit faster. Through more, 2 chain. And I'll do this next one nice and slowly again. So go into the centre of the V, pull it up and pull through 2. Yarn over, back into the V, yarn over and pull up and through 2. Need some more yarn. And that was 2. So we're going to do that again. Pull through the 2. One more time. Yarn over and pull through all of them. 2 chain. And it's as simple as that. We're going to go in every single V all the way along until we get back to this here, and then I'll show you how we go into that very last one. It does look a little bit snug at the moment, but as soon as we've done a stitch into it, it'll pull it open and you won't see it. So I'm going to do one in each one and I'll come back to you when I get all the way back to the start. Okay, so I've gone all the way along, going in every single one, and now I've got back to the start, and it does look a little clumsy here, but you can see that between these 2 stitches here is our V. So I'm going to do my last one in between the 2 chain and the last treble crochet and the first 2 chain. So I'm just going to go in between those and complete our last treble 4 together or double 4 together in the US. There we go, last one. Forget the 2 chain, and now we're going to join to our first one. And if you look, you can see this V here, the elongated one. I'm going to put my hook in there and I'm going to join a new colour. So I'm just going to cut this one off, leave a nice long tail so that I can sew it. And now my next colour is this lovely yellow. If I can just find the end, which is easier said than done. Aha, there we are. Right, just pull some yarn out. And I'm going to join this next colour, so I'm going to hold on to the yarn that I've just cut so that it doesn't elongate my stitch, leave a nice long tail, and I'm going to pull that new colour with my hook through that stitch and the stitch on my hook. Now I know a lot of people don't do this, but I always tie it tie the two ends of the yarn I've just cut and my new one. I just tie them together for extra security. I've had a few seams and things come undone on me, and so I don't have them anymore. But, you know, I know a lot of people don't like to do that, but I do. So here I am. I'm in this stitch. I'm going to chain 2 and do 1 more treble crochet in that same stitch. Now, in each of these stitches, so it's the first kind of, as you look at it, you can see there is 1 stitch here and 1 here, and then we're going to go into the first one. So it's our first stitch, and then we're going to do our V stitches like the row beneath into those stitches. This is, so it's the right hand side. As you're looking, there'll be 2 stitches above, and it's this one, the one on the right hand side. So we're just going to do a V stitch. Be careful not to catch the yarn as you do. A V stitch in each one. It's sometimes easy to catch the yarn from the stitches. So that's what it's going to look like. 1 V stitch in every one of our clusters, being careful to go into that same stitch that's on the right hand side. And that's our repeat, just those 2 rows repeated until our scarf is as wide as you want it to be. And for me, that was 7 colours, so that's 14 rows. And you can use whichever colours you want, as long as you're using the same yarn, the same weight of yarn, should I say. All of these are very similar brands. A lot of the colours I used came from a pack of coloured yarns that I got from Hobbycraft. It's their own brands. But this was a Tivoli yarn, and so was this one, and I got those from Hobby. But they are identical size wise and thickness wise. You can't really tell them apart. And I think this one here, no, I think that was Hobbycraft. There was one of them that wasn't. I think it was this one. One of them wasn't Hobbycraft, but they are all virtually identical in size, because sometimes you have to be a little careful that not all DK weight yarn is created equal. I just did another cowl. It was for this one, and this is also DK weight yarn, but if I show you the yarn that I'm using for it, it's much thinner. It doesn't look it, but it's quite a bit thinner. So there was more chain, more foundation chain needed, whereas this one is a little thicker, and so I didn't need so many chain to make the same width. It's really, you can use any width yarn. You can use a 4 weight or a bulky 5, anything you want, as long as you make sure you change up the size or down the size of your crochet hooks and adjust your chain as long as it measures the width you want, and then you just stop when you've got the depth that you want as well. So that's all we're going to do, is repeat those two rows and change our colour on our third row. So we'll do 2 of each colour, and then we'll change 2 of each colour, and we're going to carry on doing that until the scarf is the width that you want. Now, if you want to refresh your memory on how to do any of these rows or how to change yarn, then just by all means go back and watch that, but just carry on now until your scarf measures the length, the depth, I don't know, the width is width is what, this way? You know what I mean. So I'm going to carry on now, and I shall catch up with you once I get back to my very last row of my 7th colour, and I'll come back to you. Okay, so as you can see, I am now at the very last cluster of my very last row. So I'm going to just go into that same stitch that we have been going into all along, the one that's on the right hand side as we look at our cluster, and I'm just going to slip stitch into there. And now you have a decision. I'm going to leave it at that. I quite like this edge as it looks. I don't really need a border. I quite like the way it looks. But if you wanted to, then you could just chain up one and maybe do a US single crochet, which is a double crochet in the UK in each stitch, and create a little border around as you go like this. And you could do the same at the other end as well. It would just, that's what it would look like. You could do more than one row, you could do any rows, you could do it in a different colour. But I don't think it needs it. So I'm just going to end off, and that's going to be, I'm going to leave a nice long tail so I can sew it in. And in a second. There we are, and that's all finished. I quite like the rows to have this this kind of edge to them. I don't know why. Just with this particular scarf, I like that. That's how I like it to look. So thank you for watching. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you very much. Bye bye for now.